I'm getting the sense here from some of these interviews that if they don't deliver the 100% accurate Mandarin, you're gonna see very angry psychopaths on Twitter being very angry. So at least I guess they're prepping everybody by talking about how the Mandarin has changed and some of the comparisons people might make to some of the greatest villains of all time, like Darth Vader. I really don't know why, but it wasn't until Iron Man 3 that apparently everybody and their mother was the biggest Mandarin fans of all time, and he was one of the most underutilized and best comic characters ever, for whatever reason. I mean, he definitely has his time and place, and his role in Marvel Comics that I think some people like to over-exaggerate the importance of. Well, you know, I guess that's what fans do, right? In the grand scheme of things, I think if you look at the top 10 Marvel greatest comic villains, I don't think he falls in that. But of course, Marvel Studios has managed to take villains that don't necessarily fall into that and made them something that's a little bit more formidable and a little bit more mainstream. I mean, look at Thanos. Prior to his actual first appearance, like legitimate first appearance with the likes of Guardians, and then if you go all the way to Avengers Infinity War, many people consider him to be a joke, specifically when people like the Russo brothers would compare him, being like, look, this is a Darth Vader for a new generation. I remember all those outrage videos and think pieces saying nobody's ever going to remember Thanos, he'll never have that effect. Then the ending of Infinity War happened and, well, you know, Thanos is now, well, one of the best remembered villains of all time, so there you go. So maybe Mandarin can do the same. Boy, that was a long roundabout way to get to this topic. Whew. As we've seen in Hollywood, if you're going to have a villain that you want and hope makes an impact, you automatically just say, well, we're hoping to do a Darth Vader thing because Darth Vader is one of the greatest villains of all time. So naturally, when it comes to the Mandarin, we see that they're taking liberties and doing a few different things. And even if you watch the trailer, you get the idea that Mandarin is going to have a presence and a historic impact on many events that maybe some of them we've seen, like, for example, the fake Mandarins in Iron Man 3, and even earlier in that because of all the flashbacks, and how that character has evolved to who he is today. Definitely seems to be a character arc all within itself. And recently the people working on Shang-Chi teased that when you look at the character in this film, and you compare his relationship with somebody like Shang-Chi, they're going to sort of try to get to the heart of it, of this relationship between these characters. And if you look at something, for example, again, Darth Vader and Luke, there's some of that there that they're looking at. And I think this is maybe one of those things where you look at Return of the Jedi, for example, where you have that scene where Luke is standing there with Vader before he brings him up to the Emperor. Something like that maybe, where he's trying to find the good in him, but he's been Mandarin for so long that he's almost lost to that mystical and mythical idea that's built this aura around the character that he has to be that character all the time. Which again, Vader fell into that. He has to be Darth Vader. He can't just be Anakin again, up until at the end he finds himself. That's at least what I got from the interviews that they did with EW. Maybe I could be a little bit wrong on this. Maybe it's something completely different. He'll just be a straight up villain. But I hope maybe there's some more layers to Mandarin. Because if he just shows up and he's a generic villain with no empathy or anything, that kind of feels like it's, well, it's like phase 1. You know what I mean? We don't need another Red Skull that's a villain that's just villain for the sake of being evil. That seems a little bit too a decade ago.